Hi everybody, this is Alan's voice avatar. His dogs are so loud today, he can't use a microphone. I made this video to demonstrate the progress made on KyraMania. KyraMania is a set of software tools that give users nearly full control of their Kyra from their computers. The software has 5 integrated components that help you comprehensively manage your multis, banks, and patches, edit your multis and patches, import and export multi, bank, and patch files, control your Kyra configuration, and get the most out of Kyra's soundcard mode, which delivers 8 stereo channels of streaming digital audio directly to your computer. KyraMania has 4 main screens that are available as tabs at the top, and 2 screens that are available by clicking context-sensitive buttons. The 4 main screens, from left to right are the Kyra Mixer, where you can control the digitally streamed output of the Kyra soundcard. The Multi Manager, where you can control all aspects of your Kyra multis. The Patch and Bank Master, where you can manage all of your Kyra banks and patches. And the Settings screen, where you can view and edit KyraMania's MIDI and audio settings. And view and edit Kyra's configuration parameters. 2 more screens are available by clicking on context-sensitive buttons in the Multi Manager and the Patch and Bank Master. First, is the Patch Selector tool, which allows you to browse, audition, and select any patch for use in a multi. And finally, there is the Patch Edit screen that allows you to make and save changes to any of a patch's more than 200 parameters. Let's look at each of these tools more closely, starting with the Settings screen. In the top half of the screen we set our MIDI in and out ports, and other functional parameters. KyraMania allows for 2 different MIDI input devices. One, called the KyraMania controller, is used to operate the software tools, and the other, called the Kyra Mixer controller, is used to input MIDI information to the KyraMania mixer. The Auto Channel Select toggle box tells the software whether or not to automatically change the MIDI channel of the KyraMania controller in response to actions taken in the software. This is a very useful function. It saves loads of time and frustration, especially when editing multis. The System Config Parameters section allows you to view the current state of nearly all of Kyra's system settings. To get a current setting value for a single parameter, just click on the parameter name. To get and view all parameters, just click on the blue Get All button. You can also send changes to Kyra config parameters. This can lead to unexpected results, so we've protected this functionality from making changes accidentally. To make a change to a config parameter, you must first enable the Send Config Data functionality. Do this by clicking on the Not Sending Config Data button above the Get All button. You will see that the background color changes to red. Any changes you make to the parameter values while in this mode will be sent to the Kyra. The keyboard at the bottom allows you to send MIDI data to the software and to your Kyra. We'll discuss this in depth later. Next, let's take a look at the Multi Manager. As you know, Kyra multis have 8 independent parts. Each part has its own MIDI channel, audio output, patch assignment, and additional settings that add to or override the patches settings. KyraMania allows you to quickly get the list of multis from your Kyra. Just click the blue Get Multis button at the top to synchronize KyraMania's multi list with the current state of the Kyra. This list appears in the menu below the button. We can select any of the 128 multis from this menu. Selecting a multi fetches all of its parameters from the hardware and displays it in the Multi Manager screen. The selected multi can now be edited. We can select and audition any of the 8 parts by clicking on the part number on the left. This brings the selected part to focus, and, if you have Auto Channel Select turned on, you can play any selected part from your KyraMania controller without manually changing to the assigned MIDI channel. We can now make changes to any of the multi-parameters. The changes are sent to the edit buffer and can be heard immediately. We can select a new patch for the selected part by clicking on the blue S button. This brings up the patch selector window. From this window we can select and audition any potential patch change we might want to make. We have access to all user banks and all ROM banks. The change is made immediately upon menu selection. You can cancel your changes by clicking the revert button. This reassigns the patch that was assigned prior to entering the select patch window. We can also use the filter by category menu to search for patches by category. Selecting a category from the menu causes all patches assigned to that category to appear in the category patches menu. From this menu we can select a patch, then click the blue set patch button to display the patch in the appropriate bank menu. When we are satisfied with our patch choice, we just close the patch select window. Notice that the new patch number and name appear in the selected multi-part. All of the changes we've made so far to the multi have only been made to the edit buffers. These changes will not persist if you select a new multi or quit the KyraMania application. To commit the changes to Kyra memory we must click the blue send button. This transmits and commits all changes to the Kyra multi. The changes will now persist across selections and sessions. We can also save multi-data to systems exclusive files on our hard drive. These files can be saved and opened using the multi-menu at the top of the application screen. We can import either binary hexadecimal files from other editors and librarians, or we can save and open proprietary KyraMania text files. On the right side of the multi-manager screen we have some experimental functionality that you may or may not find currently useful. This functionality allows you to make changes to patch parameters for all of the patches in the current multi. For example, you can set all patches to recognize an external MIDI clock source. Or set all of the patches arpeggiators to the same pattern. Currently, this functionality only makes changes to the edit buffers. The changes you make here are temporary and do not persist across multis or sessions. We hope to get input from users as to how best to build out this type of functionality. The keyboard at the bottom of the screen allows you to trigger notes that can help you audition Kyra patches and edits. The keyboard mirrors what is being input from the KyraMania controller, but it can also generate its own MIDI notes. You can play a note from your computer keyboard by selecting the Computer K option. When it's toggled on, the K key on your computer keyboard will generate a MIDI note as specified by the pitch, velocity, and duration values. Let's take a look at the Patch and Bank Master screen. On this screen you'll see a matrix of actions and targets for Kyra patches and banks. The left side of the matrix operates on individual patches, while the right side of the matrix operates on entire banks. Let's start with the bank actions. We can get all patches for an individual bank, or we can get all bank patches. This clears and updates each bank menu to accurately display the current state of the Kyra. It also updates the category lists and category associations for patches. We can copy entire banks of patches and paste them into any of the user banks. This action updates the actual Kyra hardware data. After the paste is complete, KyraMania updates the patch bank menu that was just changed by the paste action. We can open saved patch bank files from our computer hard drive and load them into the selected Kyra user bank. We can either load binary hexadecimal files from other editors, or we can load proprietary KyraMania text files. Similarly, we can save any user or ROM bank to disk. The left side of the matrix works in the same way, except we are now operating at the patch level, rather than the bank level. To do this, we first select a patch from a bank menu. Note that the white play matrix has lit up next to the menu selection. This lets us immediately play and audition the selected patch from our KyraMania controller. To hear other patches, just select them from the menus. We can edit any of the user bank patches by selecting the patch we wish to edit, and then clicking on the associated Edit Matrix item. The patch editor for the selected patch is immediately loaded, and we can then edit and save any patch parameters. We'll look at the patch edit functionality in more detail later. We can move any patch to a new bank or location in the same bank by selecting it. Then, copying it. Then, selecting the user bank and location where we wish to place it. Then, we click the matrix paste item for the targeted bank menu. The menu will update after the paste action, and the menu will show the pasted patch in its new location. As with patch banks, we can select and save individual patches to disk files. And, we can load individual patch files to selected patch bank locations. Let's take a look at the patch edit functionality. The patch edit screen can be accessed from either the multi-manager, or from the patch and bank master screens, by clicking the edit button for the part or patch you wish to work on. All of the patch parameters can be edited from this screen. The changes get sent to the edit buffer in real time, so you will be able to hear your edits immediately. You can send the edited patch to the same place it came from. By default, clicking the blue Send Changes to Selected Patch will send the patch to the patch bank slot from which it came. But, you can also change the location of the edited patch by designating a different bank and patch number in the red and gray area directly below the patch name. And then clicking on the blue Send Changes to Selected Patch button at the top. Remember, you can only send patches to user bank locations. You cannot write to ROM banks. One new interesting function in KyraMania is the ability to see arpeggio patterns displayed. The display shows the rhythm and relative velocities of the selected pattern. Kyra can stream 8 stereo channels of audio, 1 stereo pair for each part. Unfortunately, to get the most out of this functionality, we need to use the Kyra in soundcard mode as the audio input and output device in a DAW or similar software. DAWs using the Windows operating system can only use one audio device at a time without employing third-party aggregating software. This severely limits Kyra's use as a soundcard, since it doesn't have any additional audio inputs. In order to take advantage of Kyra's streaming capabilities, we've built a digital software mixer that can manage all of Kyra's digital audio outputs, and mix them with other digital audio sources, instruments and effects. Let's take a look at the KyraMania mixer. All channels in the KyraMania mixer are 2-channel stereo. The first 8 stereo channels are hardwired to the 8 Kyra streaming stereo pairs. These 8 stereo channels are the audio output of the 8 Kyra parts in the currently selected Kyra Multi. Notice that the Kyra patch name is displayed in the lower part of the strip. The mixer handles Kyra audio output after the patch parameters, effects, and multi-parameters have been applied. Let's take a closer look at a channel strip. For the first 8 channels, the MIDI in port is hardwired to the Kyra mixer controller input port selected in the settings screen. This cannot be changed. The MIDI out port defaults to the Kyra USB out port. The MIDI channels are set by the MIDI channel assignment for the voice in the multi. The blue VST menu allows us to select a VST instrument or effect to be added to the Kyra patch audio. Selecting an audio effect sends the Kyra signal through the selected VST effect. Selecting a VST instrument sends the MIDI data to the selected instrument and mixes the Kyra patch audio with the audio output of the selected VST instrument. We control the VST through its own interface, as we would in any DAW. The output of the VST can be activated, bypassed, disabled, or empty, which removes the loaded VST completely. The VST gain slider adjusts the mix of the VST audio with the Kyra patch audio. The main fader adjusts the gain of the combined VST and Kyra audio signals. Each of the main channels has two effect sends. One pre-fader and one post-fader. The pre-fader send always goes to auxiliary 1 channel strip. The post-fader send always goes to auxiliary channel 2. The auxiliary channels can contain 1 or 2 VST audio effects. These effects are always run in sequence, with the signal first passing to the first VST, then through the second one if it is loaded. The auxiliary channels are bused directly to the main output channels. Channels 17 through 24 allow you to load additional VST instruments or route other audio inputs to the mix. The KyraMania mixer is definitely a work in progress. All functionality works, as is. But the final functionality has not yet been decided. We hope that Kyra users can tell us what functionality is most useful. That's a brief overview of the functionality and development progress of KyraMania. Please watch the end of this video, which contains a message from the developer about next steps, and about how you may be able to help with KyraMania development.
Hi everybody, this is Alan from PDI Media. I started developing KyraMania as a way to get the most out of the wonderfully powerful Kyra synthesizer. The project has grown into a pretty extensive software package. I'm at a juncture now where I have to decide what comes next. If some of you Kyra users are interested in helping me to bring this to final production and distribution, please let me know in the Kyra Facebook page or DM me on Facebook. I'd like to get a few people involved as testers and as advisors. It's hard for me to know what features and functions are important to users without asking them. I also know that it's easy for potential users to make evaluations and suggestions without really understanding the software itself. That's why I'm asking anyone who wants a free alpha copy to make a small time commitment to learn what the software can do and how to use it effectively. To that end, I'm offering free online setup lessons to anyone who wishes to participate in the testing, release, support, and future development of KyraMania. I'm interested in seeing what the response will be. If it's good, I look forward to some interesting collaborations. If there seems to be little or no interest, well, I'll just keep KyraMania as my personal creative workflow tool. That's all for now. I hope to hear from some of you very soon.